This is the Upstate Hoops Podcast. Recorded live in the studios of FingerLakes1.com. Let's tip it off.
Breaking news, Palmac survives Geneva survives Palmac, I should say. I really blew that one. Tonight, just moments ago, Geneva defeated Palmac 52-49, I think it was. Ted Baker with the call on 1240 WGVA. So, welcome, Finger Lakes basketball fans, to another edition of the Upstate Hoops Podcast. It's Thursday, January 17th, 2013. This is episode 11 of season 2, and we're coming at you live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. I'm Jim Sinacropi, and as usual, I'm joined by my co-host, Matt Verkey.
Hey, Jim. How are you doing tonight?
And as I just mentioned, that game just ending. We were enjoying it on the radio, and if Palmac was able to defeat Geneva there, boy, that really would have opened things up in the East.
Yeah, it would have obviously, tied them with Wayne atop the league standings going into their Wayne's big game tomorrow night against Mynderse, and also help Mynderse get back in the thick of things here with, Mynderse is sitting there with the two league losses and taking on a one-loss Wayne team tomorrow night. But Geneva was able to pull it off. They're down a few players in that game, and, I'm not sure quite sure what the story is there. But big win for Geneva. A game they could have lost to Palmyra there, but they pulled it out.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that and all the other big games of the past week coming up. We got a great show on tap. We're going to take a look back at the week in the Wayne Finger Lakes High School basketball leagues, including one of the best nights of the year last Friday night when undefeated league leaders Wayne and Geneva met in Geneva, and Newark visited Mynderse in what ended up being an absolute classic. It's a free-for-all in the FL West. We'll show you highlights from that Mynderse-Newark game. We'll hear from Lions coach Zach Young on last week's big Clyde Lions game in Wayne County. We'll give you our players of the week and our power rankings and much more. And I should also mention a quick programming change regarding this podcast. Usually we transition at the midway point to Syracuse and college basketball discussion. As of tonight's episode, the Upstate Hoops podcast will be devoted solely to local high school basketball, and then we'll debut our new show just about 10 minutes after this one ends, called the Upstate Orange Podcast, and that will be with myself, Verk, and Brad Connor, and we'll discuss the latest in Syracuse basketball and take a look at the national landscape and throw in a little trivia. So for you live viewers, right after Upstate Hoops signs off tonight, hang tight for about 10 or 15 minutes, and Upstate Orange will go live, and then both shows will be posted at the same place, podcast.fingerlakes1.com/Upstate Hoops, and both shows will appear in your iTunes, Stitcher, and RSS feeds if you're a subscriber, and both episodes will be accessible starting Friday mornings on fingerlakes1.com. Tonight's show is brought to you by Midday, Mynderse, and Ricky, your hometown personal injury attorneys. If you've been injured and deserve compensation, call the Finger Lakes Personal Injury Hotline at 315-568-0911, 315-568-0911, and also by Generations Bank, generations of service for over 140 years, with locations in Auburn, Geneva, Phelps, Seneca Falls, Union Springs, Waterloo, and coming soon, Farmington. Visit them online at mygenbank.com. And just new today to the Android and iPod or iStore, what do they call, Apple call their app store? Their app store is a new banking app from Generations Bank. So go there, search for Generations Bank, and download that app. If you're a customer, you can get access to all of their all of your accounts wherever you are, and some other nice features. And of course, Newark Pilots baseball season ticket packages now available for the 2013 season at Colburn Park. Visit newarkpilots.com for more information. And I should mention, Newark is hosting the PCGBL All-Star Game this year in Newark at Colburn Park, so should be a great summer of baseball. So, big stories of the week. Battle of the Undefeateds on Friday night. Geneva beats Wayne, Newark in Mynderse battle, and then tonight, of course, Geneva holds off Palmac after Geneva was up 23-9 early. Palmac comes rushing back behind Christ and Cody Eckerson, and then at the end of the game, the kid they brought up from JVs. I got his name in here, but he had a couple of threes and a key steal, and Sweeney kind of took over a little bit, took control of that game, and they were able to hold off Palmac. And also on that broadcast, I learned that Junior Sims, Akia Jackson, and I believe Isaiah Merced are the three players that Geneva's going to have to go without for who knows. They said on the radio broadcast that it was an academic ineligibility issue, but I haven't heard it anywhere else. I did inquire earlier today to find out who the players were, and so we don't know if that's going to be a one-game thing or if it's going to be a season-long thing, but hopefully Geneva can get those guys back.
Right. Yeah, I think in Geneva School District it's a week-to-week thing, so maybe they'll be back next week. But obviously, losing Akia Jackson and Junior Sims are big losses. They're kind of interchangeable parts in that Geneva team, and big part of the team, obviously. And obviously, it's their loss showed tonight with struggling with a Palmac team that they beat pretty handily the first time. But Palmac's getting better. They gave Mynderse a good game the other night, and we'll get to that later. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if they're back next week because they got Mynderse next week. So I'm sure Geneva is hoping that they'll be get their studies and get their grades intact and get back for the game next week.
Yeah, and again, as I say, that was a report from the radio, and certainly wish the best for those kids to get back on the court soon. Now that Geneva team faced Wayne on Friday night, and they opened up a pretty big lead. Wayne came back. Geneva holds them off 73-62 to take control of the Finger Lakes East. Sweeney, 20 points and 7 boards. Stephen Dolgus, 5 3-pointers, 18 points. And then for Wayne, Mike Hollenbeck with 31 big ones, but the starting backcourt of Bobo and Lamora. Bobo had 13 and Lamora, they held till 10. And, obviously that was the difference in the game, keeping those two guys in check, because when Wayne gets going, those guys are both 20-point scorers.
Yeah, you usually see Lamar up in the, scoring in the low 20s. He had 30 a couple times this year. And Bobo's also had 30 this year. But, obviously Geneva focused on those two players. And Hollenbeck had a big night and said he hit a couple threes, being 6'4", 6'5". Kind of a little unexpected there. But, I think Geneva's depth, Stephen Dolgos isn't a kid that necessarily that you hear about a whole lot of on the Geneva team, but he, 18 points, 5 threes. And I know Wayne rallied after being down 20-plus at one point, cut it to 7 in the fourth quarter, but just wasn't enough, and Geneva held on for the big win.
Also this week, Clyde and Lions meet atop the West. I mean, we were calling this Judgment Week, I believe, last week. Brendan Harrington dubbed it that during our last webcast. And when Clyde and Lions get together, we always get excited. It was at the Atwood Gym in Lyons, so a great atmosphere. Clyde comes out with a 48-40 win, and this is a team, Clyde, that scored 115 points a couple games ago, and 48-40. It was just a hard-fought battle in a tight, small gym up in Wayne County.
Yeah, I talked to Coach Zach Young from Lions, and he said it was a great game, great atmosphere, and just reading some of his quotes in the paper and stuff, he was real happy with his team's effort. He said, he couldn't ask him to play any harder. Unfortunately for Lions, also they played without their leading scorer Trey Johnson. I'm not sure exactly how long he's going to be out for, but that's a big loss going into the Clyde game, obviously. But, I think they were tied at halftime, and it was, 2 3-point game going into the fourth quarter, and Clyde kind of pulled away there. But, it was a great effort from both teams, and, we look forward to seeing Lions go back to Clyde, a game we're going to webcast. But
February 13th.
Obviously, gives Clyde the upper hand in the league at this point. But, if Lions can win out and Clyde can win out, they'll still, Lions can still have a shot to tie for the league title there.
Sure. Well, I mentioned earlier we'd hear from Zach how that game went, and at halftime of the Mynderse Newark game, Zach Young sat down with Kevin Korzeniewski and talked about the game, and we got that interview for you now. So if we can have our producer pull it on up, we'll hear.
So Zach, tell us a little bit about the Lions-Clyde game the other night. You guys, I believe, was 48-40.
Yeah.
Close battle all the way through, and then it looks like they pulled away right at the end.
Yeah, I don't think any lead was more than 6 till about the last minute. I think it tied at halftime. Clyde's up 2 going into the fourth. It was 36-36. They got they made a free throw, and Campusano made a very difficult shot, 39-36. But a real physical game, and they got ahead by a couple, and we missed a couple free throws. Had to gamble a little bit in pressure, and they executed down the stretch. But it was a well-fought game by both teams, and just unfortunate we couldn't come out with a W.
Now, I know Clyde's got a great team this year, and you guys are good as well. Does that low-scoring game play in your favor, or does that play to Clyde's favor, you think?
I don't know. They scored 115 points for
I saw that against Red Jacket.
So
when I saw the box score and I saw the score, I said to myself, I wonder, if Zach tried to slow that game down a little bit, or if that's just the rivalries and the aggression and the passion.
It's a tough game for the kids to play. And, if you went, I think both teams were sloppy in some points, but it's just
a little nerves.
It's 700 people right on top of you. It's like playing in your old middle school gym, Waterloo Middle School gym.
Yeah,
What it reminds me of. Playing
that's
there.
a great thing.
But it's awesome. It's fun. But teams are sloppy, but real physical play, and we tried to take away their inside game a little bit. They have a definite size advantage on us, and they caused us some problems in our half-court offense for sure.
Now Trey Johnson wasn't playing; he wasn't in the box score. Did anybody step up? Anybody come? Did the team pull together as a group, or did you get any surprise buckets or play out of anybody?
Jake Keogh played really well off the bench for us. He had a passing in his family, and he was in Albany for Tuesday and Wednesday, so he wasn't even at practice for the 2 days before.
Wow.
Came up, played. I think he had like 7.7 rebounds.
That's tough to do if you're not running around. You take a couple days off and.
He played well. Alex Mussolino for us played. Tom Canale is one of the best scorers in our area. He had 15 points, but he earned every one. And he played really, really sound defense. And for a couple of our guys, it was the first time in that situation. So, hopefully we can learn from it and continue to get better. I told him after the game, you can't be upset about your effort. We just got to work on executing a little bit more. And we couldn't throw it in the ocean. Neither could Clyde though either. And a lot of that had to do with the defenses from both teams. I give them a lot of credit defensively.
That's a tough environment. We got Geneva and Wayne playing tonight. I'm interested to see what that score is at the end. If they have the same low-scoring affair, or if those teams get out and go. I know both those teams like to score, so they'll probably be in the 60s.
I think also playing at our place, it's a smaller court. But I think maybe, sometimes some people say that for a higher scoring game, when you have two really good athletic defensive temes, there's not a lot of easy buckets.
Room to get out.
There's not a lot of easy buckets. There's not, even in transition, you can catch up sooner. So I think that played into it. I bet you that game's in the 60s or 70s tonight, though. I at least played both of them.
Well, listen, we love to have you on. We love to get some live interviews. And, we wish you the best of luck at Lions this year. How about sectionals? You guys, you still got a shot at the Wayne County League, and obviously that's probably your first goal.
Yep.
And if all goes well, that Clyde Lions 2 will be the deciding factor. But for sectionals, who are some other teams that you guys are looking forward to?
In our class is the 1 through 7 seeds. I think the 7 seed has 2 losses. So you got Perry has a very good score, Anthony Ricotta. Perry and Calmon played tonight. I was actually thinking about going down there, but 5-minute scouting trip's better than an hour and a half. I can see them later. And they're good. York won Class C3 last year. They're good. Cuba Rushford, who beat us, is pretty good. It's the toughest C bracket to be in, not to complain or anything, but you're going to have a tough game in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, no bracket's easy. Because even if you're in C or you're in D, you are a C or a D school. So
yes.
A lot of people say, they're in D or they're in C. Well, they're playing the schools their size. So we don't really think any bracket's easy. And we'd like to, here at Finger Lakes 1, wish you the best of luck the rest of the way. And I think we're doing a couple more of your games this year.
Yeah, we got Lions Newark coming up in a couple weeks.
Which I'm interested in seeing that because you guys have never played, and that'll be fun. So we appreciate your time, and thanks for stopping over during halftime. Good luck the rest of the way. And with that, we're going to take you out to commercial and bring you back to some live action here at the Arthur L. Baker Gym.
And there you have it. That was Friday night. Coach Zach Young in town scouting Newark because Lions is heading to Newark on February 2nd for a classic rivalry game that hasn't been played in over 30 years. And so he was checking out Newark. Kind enough of him to stop in and talk to Kevin. And no better way to get a description of that Clyde Lions game than from someone who coached in it. And Tom Canale had 15 in the win for Clyde. Cam DeSanto had 12. For Lions, it was Maurice Wells with 9. And that brings us to the third big story of the week, I suppose, Verk, the Mynderse Newark game. We were there webcasting. Barnick and Korzeniewski on the call. You were there taking it in. And it was really the loser is out of the title contention. It was, and it couldn't have been closer.
Yeah, it was a... it was kind of a weird game. I was just watching the tape there, and you kind of forget Mynderse was up 9 at halftime, and Newark put together a great second half. They kind of just looked like a whole team from the Geneva game, the first half of the Mynderse game, and they played great and really probably should have won that game in regulation. If they're up 4 and Pasalaka drove to the basket and kind of got blocked, and it ended up in Ruddy's hand. He put it in to cut it to 2.
Right.
And then they came back, and they're going to call timeout, and Mynderse was about to follow them. They end up turning the ball over, and then Pasalako kind of had I wouldn't call it a prayer, but it was a tough shot with the
two guys on him.
Yeah, with the
Double
game clock
clutch.
running out to send it to overtime. Then Mynderse was able to pull away in overtime. But, up 4 with 30 seconds to go, and you block a shot, and it ends up right in the Mynderse guy. If that ball goes out of bounds or, something like that, Newark would have had a great shot to win. And, we saw a great individual performance from Anthony Lombardi.
Unbelievable.
Who was just hitting all kind of he was wide open for the first 3 or 4 threes, and then he hit a couple tough ones, a step back 3. Mynderse really had trouble with him. He kind of made them get out one finally after, nothing but playing 1-3-1 all game, and went to man. He kind of got by his guy a couple times and hit the big 3. Even in overtime, he hit a 3 to cut it to 2. When he
also set up his guys' team a lot of different ways. He won one play. He brought it down the middle of the court and for an assist in transition. But what I was most impressed by, obviously, I was impressed by Brandon Pasalako making that big shot and Brandon making free throws in the overtime. But kind of used to that now at this point. What was a really nice, not so much a surprise because Ruddy's been playing great, but Connor Miller stepped up with 16 big points, and he was looking like Akeem Olajuwon down on the post on some of these post moves he was making.
Yeah, and I think he's kind of an X factor for Mynderse. When he plays well, they're gonna win. If if he gets 14, 16 points, you add that to what Pasalako does every night and what. What Ricky gives them. Ricky's usually good for 3-4 3-pointers, and what Ruddy's going to give you. You get that fourth
double.
You get a fourth guy in there. Getting 12 points, 10 rebounds, whatever. When Connor plays well a little bit, I think it makes him that much better and that much harder to defend.
And Lombardi was hot the whole game. But when Newark made that run in the third quarter, it was Micah Wright who came alive. Really quick guard, and obviously has a great knack for getting to the hole. But he was a little quiet in the first half, and, when Mynderse built that lead and he took over in the third quarter, and it's no surprise that's when, Newark came back. I think that
he started getting to the hole. I think he hit a 3. They had a couple. Stone hit a 3. They had 3 or 4 different guys there in that third quarter hit 3s for him, and Mynderse had to switch up their defense. But, Newark looked great in that second half, and Mynderse really, they kind of just held on for dear life there. They got it to overtime, luckily, and they were able to pull away in the overtime session.
But I think if either one of those teams plays the way they played that night, that hard and that well, there's a lot of great ball movement too, a lot of great defense, and a lot of hustle. But I think if either one of those teams plays like that they can compete against Geneva or Wayne.
I was looking at the Wayne Mynderse game from the first time they played, and that was a game that Mynderse was, we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but Mynderse was right with them most of the game. They're up 5. Mynderse was actually winning by 5 at halftime. So, they have the talent. I think with Newark, we saw Newark kind of get hammered by Geneva up in Newark,
Mm-hmm.
and seems like that second half of the Mynderse game, they really put it together, and they carried that over. They came out and beat Palmyra pretty good the other night, and or they beat Penn-Yan, a team they had lost to early in the season, and beat them by 30. So, maybe that's kind of a turning point for this Newark team to come out and compete with Mynderse there in that second half and erase a 9-point deficit and take the game to overtime.
Let's take a look at some highlights from the game on Friday night. An incredible game. You're going to see Anthony Lombardi light it up. We got Dave Barnick, you're going to also see a great finish. You're going to see the buzzer beater by Brandon Pasalakwa. and then a little bit from the overtime session. So let's take it to Mynderse for Dave Barnick and Kevin Korzaneski on the call last Friday night.
Looping it in now, Ruddy. Turning. Nice dump off, laid up and in. And Miller, the recipient of a great feed, ran it inside Ruddy. Wheels, turns, Kevin McHale's shot, up and in.
He's got a lot like Jimmy Rickey on the other side.
Lombardi, yes!
Get him the three.
And we'll get back to that in a second. Lombardi from downtown, the big guy.
It would be a Phil Sims fan.
Always liked him. Lombardi again!
Another one.
Dirty but good!
And here he goes again. He's getting in.
Oh, what a move! Passalacqua, count the bucket! And one. Get back.
There's not a lot of room on this sideline.
There's the bomb, yes! And it counts. Ricky, his second tray of the night. And Newark the other way. Right. Leaves for guess who? Lombardi. Gets the roll.
A little bit of a smile on his face. Sometimes things just go your way.
Great pass. Ruddy from Miller. Ball here, commemorating that great championship undefeated season.
Here he goes again. He is still hot, Dave. He has just been everywhere.
And the bank shot was that
Micah Wright.
Again, Mynderse starting slow here in the second half, have yet to score. Inside feed, Lombardi, head fakes, up and in. Missed that shot. Zipping it to Lombardi, finds his open teammate from the wing. Bang! Micah Wright. Micah Wright for the three ball. Lombardi starts the break, laying up and in by Wright again with the assist. A chance for Newark, hustling to take the lead. Lombardi wanted it on the wing, but Wright with a pretty acrobatic move to the hoop and scores.
Micah Wright picking it up. I think
Mynderse needs to remember what got him there, and Luke Ruddy with a left-handed move in the lane gives Mynderse the lead back. The bomb from outside, swish! Tyler Collins wanting, firing, hitting! David Stone with a trifecta.
both teams heating up, Dave.
Dish off. This is Rosser. And Ruddy with a rejection. The old Spalding burger. Passalacqua, one of the few openings of the second half, buries the three. Ricky out front with it. Bounce pass Miller, turns in the hoop and lays it up and in. Newark, there's Lombardi, little head fake, wants to take it inside. Head fakes again, lays it up and in.
Inside and out all night long, Anthony Lombardi. You want your kids to play hard? You want them to play tough defense?
Oh my, Lombardi. It just didn't go for Jimmy. And flying through the lane and laying it up and in was Micah Wright, who's had a torrid second half.
Yep. Stronger inside, but I don't think quick enough to stay with Lombardi.
The drop back shot is good by Lombardi. On fire here. Plenty of time. Inside pass. Getting the roll is Wright. Takes it inside. Misses, but Ruddy there for the rebound. Do we see a quick timeout? No, we see full court pressure. 2-point game. Down court, Lombardi. He's been player of the night so far.
We've got a 1 second differentiation with shot clock. Newark does not have to shoot.
And they throw the basketball away.
Newark should have used the timeout there and told the kids, we don't have to take a shot.
Ruddy could have been called for the offensive. Anderson back to Passalacqua. We're down to 5 seconds left in the contest. Throws up a runner. And they call a timeout with 1.3 seconds left.
Nobody on the ball. Here it is. The magic
Lombardi will fire off a heave.
Double clutch. Half-court shot.
And a 1-point lead.
See if Mynderse picks up full court here if they get back and pick up quarter-court.
Friendly home rim roll. Ricky. Leaving for Anderson. Right up and in. Great penetration in Bischoff. No. Rebound right. Leaves for Lombardi. Head fake. Slapped away by Reddy. Scramble for the ball. Who's got it? Newark and the bucket and the timeout. Jamie Rosser.
So pick up full court man-to-man and maybe get a steal.
We got 27.7 seconds left in the overtime. Rosser misses 2. Rebound Miller.
Well, Brandon's clutch, and I said it a couple times tonight, and there wouldn't be another guy I'd rather have on the line for Mynderse right now taking this foul shot.
Second shot is good. In the corner, the shot almost went in, but no. And that'll do it. A tough, exciting, back and forth victory for the Mynderse Academy Blue Devils against a very game and tenacious Newark Red team.
Well, we started off good and got a good lead going into the halftime. And then Newark came out and had a good run to start the second half. And we were able to weather the storm, and luckily we had Brandon who could make the buzzer beater at the end to send it into overtime.
This is Dave Barnick saying good night, everybody, and may the force be with you.
Awesome game.
It was a great game.
Great atmosphere. Wasn't a full house, but it was almost full house.
Yep, great crowd.
And, we saw some seniors step up, especially Brandon Pasalacqua. And that game by Lombardi's unbelievable. And when you see it all one after another in the highlight reel, you can really appreciate how on fire he was. He almost made that double clutch from half court.
Yeah, it was right on target, just short-rimmed a little bit.
So, those are the big stories of the week, I suppose, but a lot more action. We'll get to that. But first, we're going to take a short break and hear from our sponsors.
Attention Finger Lakes residents, have you been injured and deserve compensation? Call Mynderse and Ricky, your hometown personal injury attorneys. Your case deserves personal attention. At Mynderse and Ricky, they know you by name, not just a number on a folder. Call the Finger Lakes Personal Injury Hotline at 315-568-0911. That's 315-568-0911. Mynderse and Ricky, your hometown personal injury attorneys.
The Newark Pilots. See tomorrow's Major League stars today. For more information, go to newarkpilots.com.
The most valuable things are always passed down from generation to generation. It's true for your family, and it's true for our bank. For more than 140 years at Generations Bank, we've greeted you by name, planned with you for the future, and stood by you when you needed a hand. It's what we do, and what we'll continue to do for generations into the future. We might look different now, but in the important ways, we're exactly like we've always been. Stop in your local branch or go to mygenbank.com.
So many sights to see on the internet, but for everything local, there's no place you can get it. At fingerlakes1.com. Come on over to fingerlakes1.com. Make us your homepage. News, weather, sports, and fun. Log on to
www.fingerlakes1.com.
And welcome back to the Upstate Hoops podcast. A lot of action around the league this week. Wayne Finger Lakes, so let's get right to it. Going back to last Thursday night, East Rochester hosted Geneva and got the win 59-49. Cameron Gray had 22 for Geneva, who's now, after that game, went to 5-5. And Justin Reho, 21 points from ER, who's starting to play a little bit better after a slow start. In the Wayne County League on Thursday night, it was North Rose Wolcott 56, Sodas 34. Chris Dean had 26 and 8 for North Rose Wolcott. Danny Meyer had 12 for Sodas. Then moving ahead to Friday night, School of the Arts. Seems like they're playing everybody, Verk. They visited Honeoye, and Honeoye came out with a 63-44 win. Ben Kratzley, 34 points and 6 steals, and Alan Smith, 9 points and 8 rebounds. Fairport, I should mention, they played at Victor, got a 83-48 win, and they're 10-0. Verk. Alex Deutsch?
I'm not even sure.
16 points.
Fairport's ranked number 2 in the state in Class AA. They had some big wins. They beat Bishop Kearney. They went to Syracuse to beat up a couple teams up there, and they got to be the favorite in their class this year.
10-0 and playing a tough schedule, so looking good out in Fairport. Pittsford Sutherland 41, Canandaigua 25. Canandaigua drops to 3-9. And then getting back to the Wayne Finger Lakes leagues, it was Midlake 61, and they came into Waterloo and defeated the Indians, who ended up with 59. 2-point win for Midlakes, their second win of the year. Mike Gelder had 13, Mason Jones 16, Dakota Norrison 23. And for Waterloo, it was Brad Steinrich with 14 and Nick Stenberg with 15. Pal Mac 76, Marcus Whitman 70. For Cody Eckerson had 22, Mitchell Christ had 21 in the win for Pal Mac. Geneseo came into down to Romulus and played Romulus South Seneca. They won 74-49. Tim Mastelar had 14 and Sam Dickinson had 12 for Romulus South Seneca. It was Bloomfield hosting HAC, and the Bombers coming out with a 54-39 win. Sean Fitzgerald had 17 points and 5 steals. Alex Flattery had 11 and 6. And Naples, the Big Green, with a big win against Red Jacket out in the West, 62-46. Jake Ball had 22. Mike Giaccone had 15 for Red Jacket. No action this weekend on Saturday or Sunday. Moving ahead to Monday, it was ER facing Honeoye, going into Honeoye and beating Honeoye 67-60. Phineas Jocks had 13 points, 11 rebounds. Justin Reho had 21 points on 5 three-pointers. ER evens up the record at 5-5. And a little bit of a surprising loss for Honeoye, who has been playing good as of late. And, it's an out-of-league game, so it doesn't count towards the West standings, but a little bit of a surprising outcome to me, at least, Verk, seeing that they were the home team. And they held Cratsley to 12. So
yeah, looking at the records, obviously Honeoye came in at 8-2, and ER was 4-5, and ER was able to get the win. And kind of a little bit surprising, but maybe it shows that Wayne County League's a little more depth than we thought, and
right.
Maybe a little bit stronger there in the middle of that league.
Justin Soliday had 19 points, 6 assists, and 6 rebounds for Honeoye. And on Tuesday night, Geneva 76, Marcus Whitman 56, a 20-point victory. But that was the night that we learned that they were going to be missing some players. Sims and Akia Jackson, mainly, two of the biggest contributors. And obviously it makes a difference in that game. And then tonight, just holding off Pal Mac. That team was so special, I think, and really the best team that we've seen this year when all their parts are together. Sure. So, we're really hoping that they can Coach Miller can get those guys back on the court soon.
Yeah, obviously they're a whole different team without those guys. That was a game where they jumped up early on Whitman, and then kind of over the last 3 quarters was kind of even. Whitman's only 1-10, but obviously they're missing those guys big time.
Yeah, and they brought up Jack Walwork from JVs. He had 23 points in that game against Whitman, and he had a nice game tonight against Pal Mac.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not a name we've seen this year, so we figured he was brought up from the JVs and obviously making some major contributions.
And for Marcus Whitman, it was Merritt Bailey and Ren Grover with 13 apiece. And then Minders had to go to Pal Mac and escaped with a 59-53 win. Brandon Pasalacqua, 20 points. Luke Ruddy, 19. They were a combined 12 for 13 from the free throw line. And Ruddy was 6 for 6 in the fourth quarter. Pasalacqua was 6 for 7 overall. And, in a 6-point game, they won in that one at the line on the road.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised at the outcome. We did the webcast of the first Minders Pal Mac game. It was a game where Minders was just unconscious. They had 9 threes in the first quarter. But we also said that we thought Pal Mac would improve throughout the year. They kind of had a young team and had lost a lot of guys from last year, and it seems like they're starting to play a little bit better. They got a couple, they had a couple wins there, and then played Minders very tough. A little surprised, Minders was down 9 at the half. They were losing going into the fourth quarter, and they're able to pull it out. But definitely a little surprised at the for Minders to be down 9 at halftime to Palmyra, and to struggle with them like that. But
Eckerson had 19, 5 threes. Chris had 16, and Pal Mac's playing better, but the East is so tough. I mean, those are 2 heartbreakers if you're Pal Mac. Minders by 6, and then Geneva by 3, back-to-back games.
Yeah, and if you look, right there's out of Minders 59 points. Ruddy and Pascalacqua combined for almost 40 of them, and I think they need to get a couple more guys in their scoring a little bit more.
And Newark bounces back from that Minders loss with a big win over Penn Yan, hosting the Mustangs. They come out with a 71-46 win. Anthony Lombardi with 17.7 rebounds, Jamie Rosser with 15 and 11, and Micah Wright with 10 and 5 and 4 assists. Shane Bloom and James Burdett 10 apiece in the loss.
And that was Penyon had beaten Newark the first time too.
That's right. There's a little payback there.
Yeah, a little payback for Newark.
And and winning comfortably. Wayne hosted Waterloo, came out with an 89-33 win. Nick Stenberg had 11 for Waterloo. Trey Lamore had 19, and Ben Bobo had 10. I don't know who else scored all those points. They had 89, and those are the two scores that were listed. So I'm sure everybody got in on the action there, scoring 89 points. Bloomfield hosting Dundee in a big game in the West, and Bloomfield defeats Coach Les Miller's Scots 49-44. Justin Brace led the way for Dundee with 17. For Bloomfield, Sean Fitzgerald had 15, and John Babcock had 12. And then Red Jacket bounces back with a win over HAC 78-70. Corey Fogarty had 21. Mike Gianconi had 17 points and 10 rebounds. And Dominic Vasquez had 13 points and 6 assists. Jameer Avery had 18 for HAC. And Brian Wang had 20. Eric Tolhurst had 18 and 10. So a lot of scoring in that game. Real competitive game out in the West. Wednesday night. This was a bit of a shocker, I think. Clyde, 59. Going to Williamson and getting a 2-point win, 59-57.
Yeah, Williamson's a team who last year gave Lions their only league loss. They're 5-6, but it seems like they have the capability of obviously putting big games together because with a win last year against Clyde, almost knocking off Clyde here. That was a game that was tied with 30 seconds to go, and Clyde was able to pull away. But, maybe, Williamson, we've kind of remarked last couple weeks that they have been playing a little bit better. They gave Lions a pretty good game the other night, too. So, Stevie Thompson seems like one of the, somebody who we see scoring, 20, 25 points a night. And he had 22. And, the big names for Clyde came through. Tom Canale, 24, and Cam DeSanto, 20.
Yeah, win's a win right there. But Williamson playing really well against the top two teams in the league the past week. Also in the Wayne County League, you had Gananda traveling to Red Creek and coming out with a 47-33 win, despite 15 from Jacob Slobe. Gananda moves to 6-5, and then Lions, also shorthanded, defeats North Rose Wolcott 64-55 in a home game for Lions. Chris Dean, 24 points for North Rose Wolcott. For Lions, it was Devin Veter, 13, Maurice Wells, 13, Damon Hunter, 10, and DJ Long, 12. Lions is 9-1. East Rochester hosted Sodus and got a 44-23 win, so there's 3 wins this week for ER. Justin Rijo had 12, Austin Peterson had 8 and 7. And then tonight we had Geneva holding off Pelmac. Other games on the schedule are Dundee and Honeoye, Early College at Bloomfield, and HAC at South Seneca Romulus. Not sure if we got a report, but that Dundee and Honeoye game is a pretty big game out in the
I did catch some of that on the radio, and I think there was a 2-point game going in the fourth quarter. Then Honeoye was outscoring them at the time like 17-4, so I'm pretty sure Honeoye held on for the win there.
Yeah, big win, and in Naples, still controlling that division.
Yep.
Top the leaderboard. Well, moving right along, our Section 5 Players of the Week, of course, wins a beautiful FingerLakes1.com t-shirt. All you got to do if you're a winner is email us at upstatehoops@fingerlakes1.com, and with your t-shirt size and your address, we'll send it right out. We've heard from all the guys that won. I think Tom Canale from Clyde may be the only one that didn't email us yet for their t-shirt.
Oh, yeah? That's surprising.
We are sending t-shirts all over the Finger Lakes, and this week, my Section 5 Player of the Week is Chris Dean from North Rose Wolcott. He's had 26 and 8 win over Sodus. That's 8 rebounds and 24 points in their loss to Lions. That's 50 points in 2 games. Verk, that's good enough for my Section 5 Player of the Week, Chris Dean.
Yeah, he's a good big man for North Rose. He kept them competitive there with Lions, and that's a good choice. I went with Brandon Pascalacco from Mynderse. I was at the Newark game there, and he obviously hit a game winner, and I think he had 20 points and 8 assists against Newark. Then he came back with, he had 15 and 8 against Newark, and against Palmyra he had 20 points and 8 assists. So we've kind of been watching him the last couple of years, and he's very competitive, and my Player of the Week was Brandon Pascalacco from Mynderse.
Yeah, and he's he's clutch.
Yeah.
I remember when he went to the line, if you watch the webcast, Kevin Korzeniewski said there's not anybody on the team they'd rather have on the line at that point, and, got to agree with him. And, of course, Passalacqua made the shot. 6 of 7 from the line against Palmac. Yeah, senior, that's what you expect from your senior, but you don't always get it, but he always delivers.
4-year starter, he's just had a great career there.
So congratulations, Christine. Congratulations, Brandon Passalacqua. Shoot us an email at upstatehoops@fingerlakes1.com with your T-shirt size and address. We'll send it right out to you. And congratulations. Now moving on to our power rankings, the Finger Lakes basketball top 5. Verk, I'll go first. 5 is really, really difficult, but I got Naples in there. They're 9-1. They're first place in the West. And I gotta say, geez, what happens if Newark played Naples? Because I'm thinking Newark might be a good team for that 5 spot.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking maybe Lions as well. But you know what? I got Naples in there. You can't really have anybody else from the West above them because they're in first place in the West. So I got Naples at 5. I got Mynderse at 4. And I have Clyde at 3. And then I got Wayne at 2 and Geneva at 1. But a lot of that could change as soon as tomorrow night when Wayne faces Mynderse.
Yeah, it's tough to compare leagues sometimes, and I think if Newark played in Wayne County or in the West, I think they'd win the league. So is Newark better than Lions or Clyde? I guess we'll find out when Lions plays Newark.
It's nice. It's nice.
They have the loss to Penn Yan is still kind of mysterious there early on for Newark, but they're playing well right now. I went with Lions at 5. Clyde at 3, or Clyde at 4, Mynderse 3, Wayne 2, Geneva 1. Wayne, Geneva obviously had a tough game there. Geneva defended their home court and was able to beat Wayne, but we'll see what Mynderse can do with Wayne tomorrow night and maybe move up on those power rankings with a win over Wayne.
And that brings us to the week ahead. Verk, and first and foremost, tomorrow night, Wayne and Mynderse. We're going to be webcasting. Dave Barnick and yourself are going to have the call on that one. And for Mynderse, it's really a must-win if they want to defend, win their 4th straight league title. Yeah, it's a must-win. They're gonna have to win tomorrow night.
And that was a game at Wayne where they lost early in the season. They lost 71-56. They ended up losing by 15. It was a game they led by 5 at halftime, and they got outscored 23-7 in the third quarter. Brandon Passalacqua was, my player of the week. He only had 4 points that game.
Yep.
I don't think Mynderse can win with him only scoring 4. I know he likes to distribute the ball, but this year more so than in years past, they really need him to score a little bit more. And and Connor Miller only had 1 point. We kind of talked about him being an X factor for Mynderse, and Wayne's got some big athletic kids, and if Mynderse can get 10-12 points from Connor tomorrow night and get 14-15 from Brandon. And then you get Ricky and Anderson and Ruddy to kind of play their normal games and get normal contributions from them. I think I think Mynderse can pull out the win tomorrow night.
Yeah, Lamora versus Passalacqua is really what it kind of comes down to, and we'll see how Ruddy and Mike Hollenbeck face up.
Two of the better big guys in the league. Probably the 2 biggest kids in the league, really. When they're both 6'4", 6'5", that should be a great matchup. And I think Luke did get in a little bit of foul trouble up there in Wayne also, so that, might have contributed to that loss also. But it should be a great game. 2 very good teams, and looking forward to that tomorrow night.
And, of course, it's, if Wayne has designs on winning the league. Actually, Wayne's a game up on Mynderse, so Mynderse really, it's a must-win, to even have a shot. But Wayne, if they win tomorrow and can beat Geneva next time they play, they'll have a share. And, of course, with some of the, Geneva being shorthanded, you wonder if they're going to maybe drop a game that we hadn't planned on them losing.
Yeah, basically, Mynderse would have to win tomorrow night and hope that Wayne can beat Geneva. And then, those guys would all be could be tied for the league title, actually. Yep. So we'll see how it plays out.
Then on Friday night, you got Mid-Lakes at Penn Yan, Newark at Waterloo, Wayne at Mynderse, as we mentioned, Clyde at East Rochester, Lions at Sodus, Williamson's at Gananda, and then there's no other games next week, except for Wednesday, Dundee at Williamson, and then we'll be back here, obviously with a short week to recap next week.
I think, they might be getting close to, finals week here pretty soon or coming up. I'm not sure why there's not a lot of games next week, but that's kind of strange. But
well, it's... It's a Martin Luther King Day on Monday, isn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe there's an extended break. I don't know. I've been out of school for so long. I don't remember how it actually lines up in terms of midterms and finals. Well, as I mentioned, we're going to be getting off the air now, ending the Upstate Hoops podcast. Then we're going to be coming right back on in about 10 minutes with the inaugural episode of the Upstate Orange podcast. A lot to talk about there in terms of Syracuse basketball, the James Sutherland situation, previewing Syracuse at Louisville. So Syracuse basketball fans, hang tight. We'll be right back. And also, of course, we want to thank our sponsors, Mynderse and Ricky, Generations Bank, and Newark Pilots Baseball. So, thanks for joining us again on the Upstate Hoops podcast. And remember, all you live viewers, stay tuned. We'll be back in about 15 minutes with the Upstate Orange podcast. For my partner, Matt Verkey, and producer Jeremy Hunt, I'm Jim Sinacropi. We'll see you back here next week.
www.fingerlakes1.com